It's time for Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock.
Believe me when I say we have a difficult time ahead of us. But if we are to be prepared for it, we must first shed our fear of it. I stand here without fear because I remember that I am here not because of the path that lies before me, but because of the path that lies behind me. I remember that for 100 years we have fought these machines. And after a century of war, I remember that which matters most. We are still here! Tonight, let us make them remember we are not afraid!
Your Independence with me, Ernest Hancock, here in Phoenix, Arizona. Yeah, I got some guys coming from Oklahoma. What we're going to be doing is talking about MidFest, Mid-Continent Liberty Festival, MidFest.info. Now, MidFest is it was the result of the Jackalope Freedom Festival that we have for the past 13 years or so in northeastern Arizona. And Mike Swatek, that has become a good friend, and had come and he goes, wow, this is awesome. You could just do this? It's, everybody's in charge, so nobody is, or nobody's in charge, so everybody is. It's just, we're going camping with hundreds of our closest friends and, get over it. So this is the best way, we think. It's an unorganized Freedom Festival, and if you want it, you bring it. If you don't bring it, you don't got it, that kind of thing. And he's been doing them twice a year. He does them in the fall, right when the leaves start to turn in Oklahoma. It's MidFest because it's right in the center of the country. We always have these festivals on the west or east coast, and it's just difficult for everybody to make all of them. And MidFest, it's becoming a thing. Now, it's been years. We're probably at least 8 years or so in the MidFest. I don't know, it seems like a long time because there's so many of them because they're twice a year. And then in the spring, when the leaves start coming back on the trees. So it's always really nice camping weather. It's cool in the evening. You need a fire. It's not cold during the middle of the day. Kids are running around playing in the grass. I mean, it's awesome. But we got to know Mike and David Kalupi. Am I saying it right, Kalupi?
Close enough.
Close enough. All right. So David and Mike are here, and what we're going to be doing is I want to introduce you to them a little bit. Now, normally we, just out of capture, have been using Zoom as our video interface with our guest. Now, I've used Jitsi before and different things. I didn't have it loaded up on this studio computer because it's Linux. You get it just set just right. No more updates. No, just freaking work. But then Zoom changes and updates, and things break, and it's just a pain in the butt. Well, Jitsi is an open source thing that I've done doing other shows, as a guest, and seems pretty simple. Works well. Works in a browser. You can download it, and I'm they were very kind enough, to put up with my yelling and screaming and pounding the table, of getting it installed here. So this becomes another option for us. The reason is because they're geeks. Geeks. They're all, Mike is, we were all on the same page. We're all about decentralized communication, the ability to get off of these big tech anal probe DNA sample platforms and be able to make sure that we can store the data. It's accessible. It's not surveilled. You can do transactions, have private meetings, do chat that's not logged somewhere. So these guys are like that. So they're not big Zoom fans. So they helped me set this up, and that's what we're doing. Now, what we're going to go ahead and do, and that's why we're delayed on our start time, I apologize. But what we're going to go ahead and do is talk about Mid-Continent Liberty Festival for a stateless society. Now, I want you to understand and know who we're dealing with. Mike, is a professional that retired into Oklahoma and made a life for himself there. I visited him several times. He's building his own dome homes. Now, he has a double dome that he did in a unique way that is, near completion. The outside, the shell is done. He did for his sister. Now, he built his own home on his own land in the middle. You know why they call it Oklahoma? Because there's a lot of oak trees everywhere. That's why, And what he did is in the forest, he made out his home. He's got growing greenhouse and so on. He's got a bunch of chickens, big dogs protect, and he's got access to land that he can make use of. Well, he recently had a stroke that he's recovered from or recovering from, and we were worried about that. We lose a mic, that's not good. So he sounds like he's doing really well. Things are going well. He also, you see on Freedom's Phoenix, we have his advertisements for PPM Cosmetics, which is really colloidal silver. I don't know why he gives a crap what FDA says. But, colloidal silver, we go through tons of that stuff. I have it for everything. You're out here in construction and desert, you get an itty bitty little cut of something, boom, first aid, clean it, put colloidal silver on it, bandage it, done. And like a day or two, forget you ever even had it. And if it's got that stinging paper cut kind of feel because you didn't get to it right away, that's starting the infection. You put the colloidal silver on it, and that sensation immediately goes away. Just saying. So we are all stocked up on the colloidal silver products that he has, and you go to freedomsphoenix.com and you'll see as you refresh his ads rotate there. I got to give him props for that because that is some good stuff. Now, he's semi-retired mechanical engineer. He helped design storm drainage systems, offshore drilling rigs, industrial, manipulator arms, rocket engines, and most recently, electrical submersible pumps for deep oil water wells. So he was making bank, doing whatever he was doing, but he's super geek. And these guys are definitely in line with what we've been talking about. Decentralization of data storage, access to it, and not putting your ankles up to your ears and telling Uncle Sam to do you, every time you touch a computer. So we're in the right mindset with these guys. We're going to get into MidFest, but I want you to, just hear from Mike introduce, his philosophy and mindset and why he did MidFest, and then we'll talk to David, and then we'll get into MidFest details. Mike, go ahead and tell people about you, would you please?
Okay, yeah, I'm Mike.
Get up closer to the microphone, please.
Okay, I started this thing 5.5 years ago. We do it every 6 months. So this one is MidFest 11. And what's nice about it is there's absolutely no organization, no planning, nobody in charge. Everything happens spontaneously. And if you think about life, some of the most amazing things in life happen spontaneously, but you just got to give it a chance. Don't plan your life away, And this is one of those times for spontaneity. And so I always tell people, MidFest is always different, and it's always wonderful. And the byline for it is an unorganized gathering of kindred spirits seeking a stateless society. And that's what it is. Just a bunch of people camping in the woods who would prefer to not have a government. And,
now, it has a regular campsite. It's called Copperhead in near Spavinaw, Oklahoma. It's kind of like northeastern Oklahoma, not too far from Missouri, I think. But it is a really nice campground that keeps getting better. I mean, every year they're working on that thing year round. It used to have, a lot of big biker camp events to where you'd have a bunch of Harleys and their families and whatever and something, but they kind of seems like they kind of, went away from that and more family oriented and different things. And they got a pool. They have, old burned down buildings that they use the masonry to incorporate outdoor kind of, bars and, outdoor seating. They got it nice cover. They got a stage for a band. There's always somebody brings in an audio system. So it's not so planned that you can't just get up there with your own microphone and guitar and get going. I mean, and the real event is around the campfires, and there's a lot of children. So it's but at night, they're in bed, and the guys talk about how their philosophy of saving the planet and whatever. But it's really relaxed. There's no set schedule. You may get a flyer, or hey, so-and-so speaking over here or doing this thing. A lot of great names in the Liberty community go to this thing, been there, present, have debates, have discussions on anything from health to politics to philosophy to guns, whatever, and certainly a lot of IT stuff, computer networking, internet. So I just want to encourage you to where do they go to find the information on it? But one thing I wanted to mention is that over time, Mike took the time to make sure that we had, the thou shalt nots. Rule 1, don't be a dick. I mean, that kind of thing. So there's where you have, if you have a problem or something, how we're self-governing. And there's got to be some kind of, there's no rulers, but there's rules, And then Mike, over his experiences with other camping events, other freedom events, other festivals, and so on, all these things come up. How best to handle them, where the people handle it. Mike, tell us all about everything and where to get the information.
Okay, well, like you said earlier, the website is MidFestINFO. And if you're on the new internet, the internet that can't be stopped, on Quartal, Qortal, the website is just MidFest there. And it's basically just trying to keep it simple. The secret to a lot of the best things is keep them really simple. So, if somebody shows up and say, well, can I do this? I don't know. My answer is always the same. I don't know. Can you? Are you going to hurt anybody?
Waiting on you now.
Yeah. So, just keep it simple, and nobody's in charge. The campground owner, of course, owns the property, but he's lived there all his life. He knows the town. He knows the police. He deals with all the outside world. When we're inside the campground, it's just us and whoever else is camping there, because, anybody can camp there. That we just kind of reserve that weekend for when we're all going to be there.
And the rates are reasonable. It's not that expensive, is it?
No, it's like $10 a night per person for tent camping. I think kids are less, free up to a certain age and then less. And they have RV sites, hookups and stuff for electricity and water. And then also there's coin-operated laundry and bathrooms with showers and swimming pool. It's a nice place. And we can kind of get off, if we wanted to, we could get completely out of sight of the entrance. I mean, it goes way back in there. Thousands of people could camp here. But we have fewer people than that, typically a couple hundred. And it's a nice size gathering, enough where it's got that intimate feel. And when things get too big, that's when you're more likely to have some kind of issue. Now, to deal with issues, I had the opportunity at Jackalope to see how you don't deal with issues, and decided to put together a process. It's a dispute resolution process, and that's on the website. And it basically gives people an understanding of, well, if there were no police, if there were no courts, how would we resolve things? And, a lot of thought went into it, and I worked with other people that were more expert in this area. And, that's how we do things. But really, we've never had any significant problem there.
Well, because you preempted it. You experienced a lot of it. You go, all right, this is how we're going to deal with it. And I don't remember. It's just, because everybody that goes there is, they don't violate rule 1, which is don't be a dick. I mean, it's just that simple. Everybody's courteous. And You're right. When it gets too too many, you start having issues. There's always that one person, and it's almost like these festivals get big. The government or somebody's got to send in a troll. But to be able to preempt that and have people like mind, which is what's this like mind you're talking about?
Basically, leave me aloneists, people that don't like government. Many people get in their business. Just leave me alone. I want to be free. And that's what everybody's there doing. And, if there's somebody there you don't like, hell, there's a whole bunch of campfires. Go to a different campfire. Do the adult thing. Just disassociate. Don't be an asshole. Because, most people don't realize that a fight isn't a fight until the second punch is thrown. After the first punch, it's simply an assault. And so, you have to not let things escalate. And that's the first rule of keeping things peaceful.
I say there's a lot of kids, but the age range is wide. When I go, which I've gone many times, I've done camping, out of our enclave. I've done with the bus, the Love Bus. We've gone there, and that's comfortable. And we always, regardless, we always bring enough equipment to do a show. And I have talked to so many people. Anybody that talked to me, why are you here? What's your story? Sit them down. They go. It's amazing, and they come from far and wide across the country. And it was something that, with the common denominator, was like you're saying, kind of I just want to be left alone. I want to go camping with like-minded people and kind of share my thoughts, find out theirs, and, peace be upon thee. And a lot of it was during COVID. During COVID, MidFest didn't recognize any COVID. The campground owners like, COVID what? I mean, they get some county guy want to explain it to him, yeah, go away. And it was just private event. Nobody cared. Nobody looked twice at whether you wore or not wore a mask. I don't know if anybody did. I don't think they did. But, nobody cares. So it's a really nice environment for new people that are new to the freedom-oriented, voluntarist, libertarian type Ron Pauli kind of conservative Republican kind of thing. If you're a hardcore leftist, progressive, whatever, you would be entertainment, but yeah. Probably not, having a good time. But it's really the age range. Let's talk about that. A lot of even families have moved there because of MidFest and that you've helped. So talk about the demographics of the event.
Yeah, they're all the way from infants to really old people, like me, and everything in between. We got like literal swarms of kids roaming around on their bicycles and running and selling stuff and whatever. And
yeah, they want to make money. Give me a job.
Yeah, they, it's so fun to see what a kid's how their face lights up when they receive a gold back for something, It's just like, oh, wow,
Right.
So yeah, go home, go back and tell your parents about real money. And,
that's some of the kids, they're telling you, they got it going on, they're good kids. Well, go ahead and tell us why you do it twice a year. What's up with that? Just because that's a nice time of year?
Well, a whole year is a long time to wait, Hell, we got 2 perfectly good seasons here. Why not use them? That's about the amount of logic that went into it, Everybody else does it once a year, and I don't know why. That's their thing,
Well, that was one thing. When you had your stroke, you were down for, at least 1 or 2 of them, but it didn't have really any impact on it. It just kept going, and people went, and, how's Mike doing? You stop by or whatever, but there's nothing to do other than to call the campground, reserve a place during the time that it's going on. For the fall one, it's October 1st through the 6th, so it's coming up here directly in like a week or so, and any amount of that time, people stay late, come early, whatever. It's just the first week in October. You rent your space and enjoy yourself. It's really no more complicated than that, is it?
No, not really. In fact, I'm not even sure you need to call for a reservation for RVs, and I don't think you do in camping, definitely not. For camping, you just show up and pitch your tent wherever, and then they come around, collect their money later on. They do have some cabins, and those do get reserved in advance, but that's the only thing that requires advanced reservation.
You know, that was one thing that I thought was cool. We just parked, and then the next day or that night or later, one of the guy comes around in a, cart and kind of, you owe me, and then that was it.
Yeah. Yeah, and the campground owner is cool. He doesn't like credit cards. He prefers real money. He'll take cash, but I pay him with silver for my camping spot. And so, he's an agorist, and the Agora is a big part of MidFest. There's lots of people there selling all kinds of things, and every time it's different. I know this time we're going to have a really good masseuse there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I do that long ass drive. I get there. I'm like, better be a masseuse this year. I mean, I'm like, damn it, That's good to look forward to after a long drive.
Yeah, for those of you who go to Liberty on Tap, it's Jennifer from Liberty on Tap, and
very cool.
They have land around here. In fact, they live closer to MidFest than I do, and I don't live that far away. And it's you never know what's going to be for sale.
Now let's go ahead and talk to David. David Colopy, how did you get involved with Mike? You found him on some geek forum. How did that work out?
Well, kind of a long story short, at the time I was living in California with my family, and it was the summer of 2020. I'd gone to Jackalope, and there's this guy sitting over by his tent, and he's selling some things, kind of colloidal silver or whatever. And I just kind of came over and just sat down, and we got to talking, and for a few hours, and I was like, hey, he's a super nice guy, really mellow, and we had a lot in common. And as some time went by, I think I saw him the next year, and shortly thereafter, we were really trying to find a way out of California by then. It was just too insane. And, we're looking at some different places. I think it was Arizona, Idaho, I don't know, maybe a few other spots. Couldn't really find a path that opened up. But then I said, hey, Mike, you seem to like it over there in northeast Oklahoma. If you were me, where might you look? What might be a good place, a good area if you were looking for a house, homestead? And sure enough, he had some very good suggestions. So we were able to parlay that pretty quick into finding a place. Mike and his wife were like boots on the ground, looking at a couple properties, and it all worked out.
So I've had dinner with you. I know who you are.
Yes.
Holy crap! I have to see you in your pictures with your long hippie hair here, whatever. I go, that wasn't you before. All right. I know who David is. Yeah, David.
It's a little shorter now.
Yeah, his. All right, I'll show you how much I remember. When I first met him, he has two small children, I think a boy and a girl, and they're probably teenagers now. You're in trouble, man. Then
girl is.
And his wife worked for a large municipality in Orange County, California. And during COVID and so on, and working from home and doing they're just like done with this thing. We're like, no, hell no. Let's get out of here. They visited Arizona. They did Jackalope. They went to MidFest. They knew Mike, or they talked to him before, and he found a home for him. He's like, all right, it's a couple acres or whatever it was, and you might like. I think you bought it sight unseen, didn't you?
Pretty much.
It's like, yeah, we're Oklahomans now. So they left, went there with their children, got integrated into the community there and everything. Boom. How's that working out? What was the upscale for your living situation with you and your family? How'd that work out?
Well, we went from a fairly modest house in California, in Southern California, to a slightly more modest house, a little older, a little smaller, but significantly more land. Although it's not like a huge amount of land, but more than the postage stamp that we were living on before that.
Yeah, We're out back.
Yeah, and we are up against the Cherokee Reserve, which is real nice. So there's there's no building up against the back of the property, and our neighbors are a little bit spread out. But yeah, more land. It came with like a workshop, and then we added on a greenhouse and a studio over here that we're in right now, and some other little niceties. It's just more room, and it's just peaceful. Down some dirt roads, and it's.
What's your children's experience? Coming from Southern California municipal love and all the crap that was going on, certainly lockdowns and COVID, and that'll explain it to you. But they get out in the woods there and so on. What do you think their childhood is going to be? They look back and see it as what?
Yeah, it's been quite an adventure for them. I mean, they enjoyed their life in California and their friends, and it was a little more conventional. And I said, you look at the picture. They're laughing over here. Anyways, but yeah, but they were feeling the squeeze too of California and all the COVID hysteria, and we sat down and we talked together as a family. Everyone was in the conversation, and we said, what do you think if we leave and do something else? And they were in agreement, and they, whatever they might miss about California is more than made up for over here. So it's a whole different experience. They're learning things about being on a homestead, working with the chickens, taking care of chickens, and we get some dogs on the property over here. Getting into some long story, but we're getting into some dog breeding, and it's a real different experience than I had growing up even. I feel like they've learned quite a bit from sort of the old world in California that they were used to, and now being over here to where they can run around. If they want to go swimming during the summertime, we just go and find a water hole, a creek, a river. It's not like trying to go to the beach in California. You got to fight through all the traffic and
that's a thing. Yeah.
Park and crowds, and it makes you hardly ever want to go. So. The pace of life is definitely more relaxed, but there's a lot more. I think there's a lot more living to do here.
Yeah, tell me about as things are getting, you're in the community, you see what's coming, and how resilient do you think the communities are there? These small communities, oftentimes they got a bunch of, retirees, welfare, Section 8 in the middle, out in the whatever, got their food stamps and so on, just as much as any city. But, there's a lot more resiliency with the people that are the farmers, the ranchers, the people that have a little bit of land that they developed and they do, so I'm wondering from your perspective, how do you think that community is going to weather when the economic collapse comes and so on? Are you even going to notice?
I think where we are, specifically like kind of way out in the country, I think people are generally going to be a lot better off. They're a lot more self-reliant. They can do the things they need to do to, stay fed, stay sheltered. And also, I can speak, like for my neighbors that are somewhat nearby. I mean, we're all cool, and we're all look out for each other. And, if we ever had to, fell a tree and block off a couple roads when there's, roving gangs or something coming through, the Living Dead or whatever. If it got that bad, hopefully not. But I feel like we could all come together and just weather the storm. And I don't like to think about, just surviving, but, I want us to all thrive. So trying to focus on, the smaller community.
Survival. Yeah.
Right.
This is that's one thing. Being tech geeks like you and Mike are, and then of course there's just different. I don't know what you call them, meetups. Different community outings, men getting together, families getting together every week or two or month or whatever. I mean, what is the social life there? Do you use online quite a bit? Do you find your people of like mind around there? Has MidFest helped with that because it's local. You know, a lot of the locals go. Tell me about the social aspect of it.
Yeah, we've got some connections with some different technologies, and I just want to touch upon one thing you were saying about, as much as we're kind of geeks over here. Like for me personally, I love the Linux stuff, the open source and the degulagged Android and all that. But man, I'm really getting like tired of technology lately. It's way too like overly complicated. Trying to keep up with, the security and the privacy and the updates, and it's like you got to be your own security expert and privacy expert pretty much. And to a certain extent, I am, but man, like just give me like my Commodore 64 or like Amiga back, like the golden age of computers.
Typewriter.
Yeah, like I kind of want to do like retrofuturism with computers. But anyway, it's a little tangent there.
Well, describe MidFest for you, and it's what was your first time that you went? The friends that you made. What do you think it's like? How your children experience now that they're teenagers? Can you even drag them there? Or are they looking forward to it?
Oh, they're looking forward to it. They look forward to it every time. First MidFest, so we showed up here. It was early March of 22, and I want to say about mid-April or so of that same year was MidFest. So we showed up. We typically don't camp because we live so close and we have things on the homestead we gotta handle. But we like to go for a few days, spend the day and into the evening, some campfires, and it was just meeting the community over here. People from the Tulsa area come, people a little deeper into Arkansas, Missouri. There's been other people from California who's come out. People from New England, where I grew up originally. It's just so nice to see so many faces that are, that a lot of them I didn't know at first, but I've come to know over the last few years. So, it's been great.
Yeah, it's an event that's easy to integrate yourself into. A lot of the campfire groups and so on, you see a little bit more kids, you bring your kids over there. You see some older guys, you kind of go over there. It gets later, in the evening, and there's like it whittles down to the rock hard party group over there and these guys over here. And how about the noise? I never remember there being late night music. Is that in your rules of etiquette, Mike? I mean, how does sleepy time work?
Well, basically, I think everybody just wants to be respectful of others. We haven't had that problem.
Very cool. That's usually what happens. A lot of these festivals, there's always that guy. Yeah, we're raving, man, until the sun comes up. Get over it, and that's where a lot of the problems start. And it's almost like that's the test right there, But it's been really a pleasant. Don't stress it. Don't even have to plan for it. Are you going? I don't know. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. And but it's always been as we leave Arizona for the holidays, and we were on our trek back and forth across the country during COVID years, doing our show and so on, the Love Bus Liberty Tour. We will always be going out, and as MidFest, we're kind of making it there on our way out, and then coming back, in the fall, it was the time to come back for the holidays, and we'd wind up going by there before we do other places because it's MidFest during spring and fall. The temperatures are moderate, where we have, our good friend Derek is in Maine, and like 2 weeks ago, he's building a workshop, and this is middle of September, building a workshop, and it rained in the slab that he had just poured concrete. The next morning, he's sending back pictures of ice. Hell, I haven't broken below 105 yet, and he's got ice. I'm like, holy crap. So this is just great weather in the middle of the country, certainly during spring and fall. And it's just really nice and pleasant. It hasn't got to where the bugs have really become a thing yet. It's cool enough that the bugs have died down. It's spring. They haven't got, warmer nights or something. You don't have a bunch of bugs. But I think the fireflies make it out, don't they? No, is that in summer?
That's like more like June, July.
Yeah,
they're fading off now.
well, it's been great. Tell us what we got to do the show and get caught up and say what's up. But
Well,
go ahead and do the elevator speech for MidFest. You'll encourage people to go and why you think they should, what they'll get out of it.
Well, I'd like to give you the opportunity for a different perspective on MidFest from Brian, the fellow who's been such a big help putting the dome together. And
Yeah, I know, Brian. Brian, word up, man.
yeah,
What's up, brother?
because he's a young single young compared to us, a single fella and a traveler, and so he has a
Purdy.
different perspective too. Yeah, yep. So
Yeah, no, I've interviewed Brian before. He's been helping on building the domes and everything. What do you think, Brian? What are you getting out of the event?
Ooh, man, I got a lot out of this event, to be honest. I started my journey like 5 years ago. I was living up in Oregon, and I just got sick of. I've been in the tech industry for over 20 years, and I just woke up one morning and I was like, I can't do this anymore. So I looked for a farming gig and just started farming, and then that brought me on the road. And I was just in search for community. My partner at the time and I were just ready for a community. We were ready to start something different, to get out of the matrix and just be somebody. So it's been a long journey. And in that process, I went down to the Greater Reset down in Texas. I think it might have been the first or second one. And I happened to meet Mike there. I'd actually seen Mike a few times on YouTube, but got to introduce myself to him, and we just had a great time. Talked a lot, and he invited me to come out to his property to work on the dome. And of course, he pitched MidFest to me then. And so my partner and I were really excited to go to MidFest, and we ended up going to MidFest, and then we ended up living with Mike and living on his property and helped him with his gardens. And then that turned into helping with the domes. And I've been on that journey of the domes for three years now.
yeah,
It's kind of part of setting the first brick, and I set the very last brick. So it's,
Boom.
yeah, very proud. Big pride
I
for me,
learned
man.
a lot from you doing it. Donna and I have been out there. I've been out there. My friend Bob and I gone out there. Just kind of, we go to MidFest. Got to go to Mike's dome build. Just to see what's up. And he built his other home that he and his wife live in, and that was a thing too. That's nice. But this was totally different. Is this something? I mean, because. The way Mike is, he over-engineers there. You got to get the right angle of the new tool, the break, the bend of the new method of the whatever the hell, But there was a reason for it all, and it was all documented, and that's why he's a big fan of Quartal, Qortal. Quartal is a decentralized, private, network of everything, that they're developing, and he uses that to put all that information on, which you were a big part of. And I'm wondering if this, after having done this, is this a method? Yeah, because it's labor intensive. I mean, it's not super expensive, for the material, but it's labor intensive. Is it something that you would do for your home?
Ooh, good question. Hold on one second. All right, sorry. Yeah, no, I don't know that I would, to be honest. I think it is a lot of work. It's been a really long journey, but man, I have a lot of pride in it. It's maybe one of the most beautiful structures that I've been in, to be honest. So I would work on another one. I don't know if I'd work on it for myself, because I would prefer to have more of an earthen home, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit of a hippie, so I like to live close to nature as possible. So
talk about Arizona, I'll show you Earth.
Yeah. Oh, I love Arizona. I'm from Phoenix originally, so I consider myself a desert dweller, and I love it out there.
Well, occupytheland.org. You can watch some of the videos we're doing out here. We're getting dirt hay. And we use the land, the soil, the adobe, the sand. We do concrete for a lot of stuff, because we got our own sand and gravel and a tractor, and do separations of it and know where to get it, and it's a thing. But it's 18 acres of dam. I mean, I bit off a big chunk. And you come visit family, get back to Phoenix, make sure you come out here and see what's up. I'll just show you what we did.
Yeah, in October, so I'll take you up on that offer, man.
Yeah, cool. Just give me a call. We'll hook you up. You can come out and spend the night, depending on the time of year. It's really nice. Heck, there was a time late spring we were just sleeping in the back of the pickup truck. We just stayed out here. It was awesome. And that's what I found out. I know you guys are rural enough. You probably know this, but for the audience, okay, they don't know this. So let me tell you something. Come out here. You got the Milky Way, the stars. It's freaking clear as hell. My kids, got me a nice telescope. I mean, it's a thing. With the naked eye, you look up at Orion, and you see below the 3 stars, his belt there. It looks like he has a penis. I'm like, what the hell, man? It's a star cluster, galaxy cluster, or something like 4 there. Then it's just like, the hangs a little to the right, And I'm going, what the heck? I never seen that. So I go on and do a search. Orion's penis, sure as crap, there it is. If you're not far enough away from the city lights that your Orion doesn't have a penis, you're not far enough away. That's just what I want to say, okay?
It's a good rule.
Orion has to have a penis. Then you're far enough away from the city.
I love that rule.
It's freaking easy as hell to calculate, Look up. Yep, okay, I'm far enough. This is how close are you to finishing the double domes that you and Mike are working on?
Yes, I've been on and off on this project for 3 years now, but I came back to kind of help out with the interior. So now we finished the dome shell. We had some guys come out and stucco it. Now I'm working on putting doors and windows in. That's the next stage, and then prettifying the inside. And I'm going to be helping out with that. Sticking around here for a while now, and just kind of hack away at it when I have time, because I've got tons of other projects going on. So so it's a bit of a slow process right now, but enjoying the work and taking a lot of pride in what I'm doing, and I'm learning a lot as I go, which has been an amazing process.
Well, the way it was designed, it's aircrete and big, like I don't know, imagine like a 12-inch square. I know it's like 7 by 10, whatever, but it's just a 12-inch rectangle that's about 4 feet long, and then they cut it into at least 3 or 4 blocks. And Mike had like different angles to make sure that it didn't have so much mortar, and it was a nice tight fit as it gets and makes the dome. But that means that the walls, after you put reinforcement mesh, basalt mesh on the outside, and a coat of cement and however you finish it, and the inside and everything, it's strong, it's a dome, and it's thick. This is, as you finish this and you got in, have you been able, without the doors and windows, to determine what kind of insulative properties it's going to have and how it's going to feel?
Oh yeah, man, it's actually pretty incredible. Working in the summertime, it gets pretty hot here. Nothing like Phoenix, but it gets hot and humid. You can walk from the inside to the outside to the inside, and it drops 10 to 15 degrees.
And that's with no doors and windows.
Exactly, no doors and windows yet, and the humidity even drops when you're in there, because the aircrete absorbs a lot of it. So there's a noticeable difference. I mean, it's pretty amazing, actually. And if you get a little cross breeze coming through those windows, it feels amazing in there.
You don't realize how big these domes are, how much living space there is, until it's enclosed. You get the walls or put a little something on top. Once you enclose it and you go in, you go, damn, this is big. Does it feel that way?
Oh, yeah. It's funny you say that, because I share pictures with family and friends, the outside. And one day I shared some pictures of going into the dome and then the inside of the dome. And people were blown away. Like, they were like, wait a minute. I saw the picture on the outside, and it looked like a little igloo. They were just blown away about how big and how much space is in there. When you walk in, it feels like a cathedral. Like, it just opens up. The dome just expands, and as you walk through that arch, it's just wow. It's almost awe-inspiring when people walk in there.
It is.
And then the acoustics in it is just an incredible experience, because you walk in through there and you can talk to somebody directly to their face, and it sounds like they're responding from behind you.
I know. That's one thing that's kind of weird, man. You got to get used to that. And then you can put different things up, walls, baffles, tapestry, whatever, and kind of cut that back. But sometimes it's kind of cool, if you know your little secret place,
It is cool. And I've been playing around with musical instruments in there, and that's actually really fun.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to do some recording there before we get too much in there, because I think it'd be fun to play around with the acoustics.
Well, I wanted to ask Mike real quick. Now that you guys have finished the shell, have you started on things like landscaping or where plants are go or finishing the outside? Because it was a construction site. I mean, how far along have you got to that point yet?
No, we haven't really got to the outside site, landscape part yet. The next step after we get the doors and windows in is the interior walls and the loft and plumbing and electrical, all that stuff. And
well, I'm interested in how you do that because we're working on the same thing. How to do lofts, how to do different things. We got a plan. I don't know if you've seen our videos that we do and everything, but you kind of get an idea what we're doing on our first test dome, because to do the big complex is going to be a thing, and you definitely showed us how much of a thing it is. We have a little bit different building technique, but it's still a thing. And the way that you did it, it doesn't matter how fast you work on it, because it's freaking cement. It's concrete, well, not concrete, aircrete, but you could let it set for months and go right back and pick up where you left off, right?
Yeah, and we've done that before, like all winter.
Right. Well, we muscled through the summer, but we don't have winters that we have to worry about.
Yeah, the cement doesn't like being frozen before it cures, so that pretty well keeps you from working through most of the winter.
Well, now this winter, as you're starting on the inside, that's not really going to slow you down as much, will it?
No, it'll be, nice being able to have that extra working season.
Yeah, Brian, I know that you were kind of an IT geek. Are you all geeked up with these guys? Or are you trying to get away from it?
I kind of take Dave's perspective a little bit. I like the idea of maybe a typewriter at my key instead of a keyboard, but I still love technology. I was in the industry for a little over 20 years, actually, if you include my college time. And I was working as an intern through college. I've worked everything from DoD to private sector to small startups to big, large companies and everything in between. And in that time, it produces a lot of trauma in a person. And so part of my kind of escaping the matrix and going, learning how to farm was to get away from the keyboard and put my hands in the soil. And
this seems like a common theme with all three of you guys, because I remember interviewing you and your partner, and she was in the same thing. That's where you guys met in IT, and it's just I'm so sick of it. It is just because I'm not a programmer geek like you guys, but I use it so much with our online site news portal. Dealing with social media, which we just kind of started. They're going to open it up again. Okay, we'll see. Nah, it's worse than it was, And it's they're trying to BS you. It's not, but it is. And this has been such an experience being out on the land that I really occupied the land.org, by the way. Occupy the land is something that I'm really hoping that Generation Next embraces and starts all that extra time that you're hunched over in a cubicle behind a keyboard, that you're actually, and you want to learn the trades, build a house, you'll learn a trade, I guarantee it, okay? You'll learn HVAC, you'll learn concrete, you'll learn, carpentry, you'll learn plumbing, electrical, landscaping, drainage, you've got, heavy equipment. You want to get learnified, build a house, okay? Ask Brian, So this is something that I'm thinking should be, Generation Next be inspired for this. What's your input after having gone through the tech route?
Oh man, I couldn't agree more. I think I don't know, the way to fix this mess we're in is first to put our hands in the soil, to see what nature does. When you're behind a computer all the time, it's just easy to forget what the beauty of nature is around us and the matrix of life that lives all around us all the time. And for me,
plus you just get that grounding thing. I mean, you just touch the soil. I mean, soil. What's that?
I rarely wear shoes now, and it's been a very healing experience for me. Just the whole journey has been healing for me, and a lot of that trauma that was induced by the technology I was surrounded by, and the social media. Man, that induces a lot of trauma on people. If you think about you have to pretend to be somebody different when you're on there, and a lot of people they're play acting. And then they find a real sadness in the fact that they're not able to be themselves. And so leaving the technology world really helped me to see who authentically I am and to present myself authentically. And it's been a game changer for me, man.
That's a good question. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead and finish your thought.
No, yeah, that was it. Yeah.
Well, that's a good question, for David. Your children, they're, God, what are they now? They're probably like 14, around there or something. What's your age of your children?
They are 13 and 10. And it's kind of funny you bring up the kids, but because right now, I don't know if you'd hear, but I want to take the opportunity to have a little bit of dinner that my son prepared, which was part of the Ron Paul curriculum. He prepared a cabbage and raisins with some mayonnaise and apples and potatoes, and
looks amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Mm-hmm. But that's part of the curriculum for him learning, to do some stuff with cooking. I think in the science class.
That's so cool.
I know that recipe. My wife makes that. So you said cabbage and raisin, then you went into the other. I go, okay, I remember that.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah,
he did a good job. But his thing, what he likes, he got into video game development. He started teaching himself when he was, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 years old. I had started with him and his sister. We're just sitting around one day, maybe a little bored. Hey, what do you want to do? I don't know. Hey, it'd be cool to make a video game. Oh, yeah, that'd be cool. Well, how do you do that? I don't know. Let's go on the internet and look it up. Well, it says here you need something called a game development engine. All right, well, what's that? Okay, let's look at it. Anyways, he ends up getting on like GDevelop, starts learning that. Sister gets a little bored pretty quickly, like, yeah, that's getting kind of heavy. I'm going to go over here and do whatever. So he's working on that. And next thing you know, he's moving on to Godot, which is more advanced. And now he's dipping into Unreal Engine, but he's doing these games, creating these games that are like pretty complex. And some of them are being reviewed on like YouTube and stuff like this. But I guess my point being is that he has a tendency maybe to sit in front too long because he's so focused on like trying to, work the code and make it all happen. But it's like, hey, buddy, it's time to take some time outside. And then he'll be like, oh, okay, he'll go do whatever. And
yeah, but at least he's creating instead of being created upon. I mean, that's a totally different thing.
Right.
That's the key.
Right. So we try to keep that in balance. And I think he's doing a pretty good job of it right now, like with, just getting outside and working with the animals. We got him on poop patrol for the dogs in the yard. Like, your job isn't, none of us ever step in this. So, and he's like, okay. So he does that. And he's getting into basketball. I started teaching him some basketball. So, he's like, hey, this is a lot more fun than I ever imagined, So now he's going to be on a team coming up starting in October. Cool. So anyways, I don't know where exactly I was going with all that, but
children, learning new things, having space to do it, being able to, the freedom of being able to select what interests them. And that's one thing, I remember my smallest grandchild, the youngest one, and my youngest daughter. I have 2 boys, 2 girls in their mid-30s. To my oldest daughter just turned 40. That shows you how old I am. And what happened was, my youngest daughter came out with her family, and one of the she has 2 boys, and the one that was like 3, 4 at the time, and his brother is probably about 4 years older. The first thing he did was plop down. He took his shirt off. He plopped down in the middle of the desert and started digging a hole that he could lay in, like he was a dog, And I went, yep. What the hell? No, help you go, man. The China's down there somewhere. Knock yourself out. So it was the first time that he had the opportunity to dig a hole, and we had a small shovel, or a garden something, and he just went at it, just to be able to dig. Now, of course, we did it as kids. I grew up till I was 12 in Central Florida. So I'm all about sandy soil and spoons and how many tunnels you can do. Lucky I didn't die. But to have that taken away from children to not have the freedom to go through the woods where you guys live. I mean, I would have been gone when I was a kid. I've been, what's on the other side of that hill, on the other side of that hill. And it's, do they go walkabout? Are they off wandering in the woods? Do they ever get lost?
Yeah, they like to go in the woods. Not so much during the summer because of all the ticks and chiggers. It's kind of gnarly. But when that thins out, you get fall, winter, there's a little bit of snow here and there. Get out back there, it's real nice and peaceful. And then spring, of course. But yeah, they love going back there, walking around. We gave them some radios. It works perfectly well. Yeah, you need to radio any issues back there. You need to radio in. They'll check on them from time to time. And, we have some trails back there. And they don't go off too far, but they know where to, about how far to get back there before it's too far, and get back before the sun goes down, that kind of thing. So, it's all good. They enjoy it. It's pretty magical. There's something about the Ozarks over here. It's a magical place. So,
well, would they know to come home when the streetlights were on if you had any?
Yeah, we don't see too many of those.
Hey, Brian, I want to ask you this question. Now that you're, good-looking young man with a bunch of, skills and so on, is there a dating app for young men such as yourself looking to be a homesteader?
Interesting question. Not that I'm aware of. I kind of
you should go get aware.
I avoid that. I'd rather meet somebody in person, and I'll wait as long as it takes to meet the right one.
Well, man, I guess you got to go to MidFest. Oh, you young women out there were capable of build you a little nest so you'll be a pretty little birdie that will be able to be taken care of. Know how to build. Go to MidFest and meet Brian. Okay, he's tall, good-looking, drink of water, and you'll have. Do you still got your beard and long hair? I mean, how you looking?
I recently got rid of my locks, but I've grown my beard back. But I had do a little reset recently. I've been traveling to different festivals like this, and I meet tons of people. And contrary to popular belief, there are women out there in this world, and I know a lot of men struggle with that, meeting women. But really, it's about presentation and who you are, and just being authentic, and they'll come to you. So. Yeah, I'm not worried about that at all.
Yeah, no, the women are looking for Brian's. Are you kidding me? They're like, I got enough soy boy, pedicure kind of, I program myself to dream about my day kind of crap. They got somebody out there, doing stuff. So this is awesome. I'm really glad we got to, chat and get caught up, guys. Hey, Mike, you got anything else you wanted to share before we go?
Well, let's see. MidFest is the website says it's from the 1st through the 6th of October, but really, people start showing up whenever and they leave till whenever. So those dates are just kind of a rough guideline, and sometimes it goes on for a long time. So anybody,
a lot of times we never paid attention, to that. We would been there days early, stayed days late. It was nice.
Yeah, the campground owner's perfectly happy to have his camp.
Have they done a lot of improvements since we've been there over a year and a half ago?
Well, mostly they've just been clearing more space, making the campground larger so they can have more people. They do have one event every year, Harvest Fest, which about fills the place up with 5,000 people.
Damn.
So they're trying to make more room,
It is really nice, and as you go back, you do any walking around the trails or hiking, they got, probably no more than a mile away down the hill. There's a big pond with it looks like it was a functional red fire engine. I'm going, what the hell is that doing here? And you go and you see some hunting blinds. You got some canyons. The dogwood starts blooming. You get it's just really nice, and you see how big the campground really is. And every year they keep, extending the roads a little bit more camping area, a little bit, so they can take on these big events. So there's always enough space, and it's really pleasant, and you've made it so by not trying to make it. You know what I mean?
Yep. The best deals are the stuff that just happens. And it's kind of nice. People that come here to MidFest, they enjoy themselves. They get to see the area, and we've got a few other people that have moved into the area because of MidFest, and it's just a nice place.
Yeah, I'm not going to make it this year, and then spring probably not. But the following fall, a year from now, I think we might make an effort to start hitting all the festivals again, and certainly see you guys, just to stay in touch with everybody, because we're busy a building. I mean, it's a thing. You know how it is, man. So we're
See
on.
the video.
Yeah, we get people here from all over the country. That's the beauty of this location. It's, people come here from even Canada and Mexico. So it's just a handy spot for everybody from all over.
Thanks for coming on, guys. It was good to talk to all of you. David, Brian, it's good to catch up with you guys. I'm sorry, David, I didn't recognize your last name. I know David. I remember him. So this has been a really good conversation, and I really encourage people. You want to go, if you're freedom-oriented, like-minded, anarcho-capitalist, libertarian, leave me alone-ist, voluntarist kind of guy, just kind of, I'll accept some rules that we can agree to, but I don't need a ruler, I don't need a permission slip or anything. This is the place to go. And you meet people like that. They're kind, they're helpful, they're open, they're clear, they're clean, they're very, very, very full of empathy, which is what's lacking in the world. People just don't care. They care. They care about your freedom. They care about you not being intimidated, and they care about enjoying themselves with like minds. MidFest.info. Go check it out. Thanks, guys. This was awesome.
Thanks, Ernie. Thank you.
Yeah.